Okay, you guys, this is from Quora. This is 3 years old. What is Scientology all about? This is from Cameron Crest. Scientology is a long con. Presented to the uninformed as the ultimate self-help solution at first, but later revealed to have a mission to save the planet and the universe at the members' expense or else. Yeah, I mean, somebody's got to pay for those $1,000 shoes that Davy from the fake Space Navy, Davy Miscavige wears, right? Someone's got to buy him those suits. And I mean, how else is Tommy Cruise going to get his slave labor, allegedly? Common sense repackaged and complicated at a cost. To new members, it promotes common sense principles at work. Scientology rebrands common sense and complicates it to give it deeper meaning. Scientologists spend a lot of time studying Scientology's version of common sense so they can apply it in their own lives as they see fit. They take and deliver courses, all at a cost to members. Do a search for Scientology cost on Google to learn more. The web is webbing, everyone. It's in the hundreds of thousands to make it to the top level. A lot of the elites, the wealthier ones, pay millions. They suck them dry. L. Ron Hubbard, founder, allegedly, created a ton of words that Scientologists use among themselves in everyday speak. All of them can be translated from Scientologies back to English. People who leave Scientology after many years often find themselves searching for the English version of what they are trying to say. Example, my 2D is PTS to his 3D. In Scientology's becomes, my boyfriend is very stressed out and sick because of his job in English. Imagine 70 years in the CIA and allegedly, the FBI and the Homeland Security could never get a translator. I think CIA was a Freudian slip to me. Anyways, so I know that's not what they do. But the meaning of those Scientology terms are even more significant than I make them out to be in the English sentence. Scientologists will argue that it really translates to, my second dynamic is a potential trouble source, connected to suppression at his third dynamic, which needs further English translation. I could write whole paragraphs about the dynamics of life, 1 through 8, PTS, SP, potential trouble sources, and suppressive persons. But I'll spare you. It's just complicated common sense. The most successful common sense principle in Scientology, the biggest common sense principle that Scientologists rave about. Listening to people and being listened to. Everyone can agree it's therapeutic when you have someone you can talk to who will really listen to you. And the opposite is also true. My kids go nuts if I don't hear what they have to say. If they are really upset, it's common sense. The first thing we do as parents is to ask them to tell us all about it. Yeah, that's what parents do. That's what parents do. We hug them and make it safe to talk. I'm going to say this again for the ones in the back. We hug them and make it safe to talk. I'm going to say it one more time for those in the back. We hug them and make it safe to talk. People need that. I'm going to add children need that. If someone could truly listen to you and really get what you are saying, they get you. Oh, wait a minute. It reminds me of what the Chi-Town politician said. Scientology really gets Chicago. Cha-ching. You're on the same page. You love talking to them. You feel good when they are around. In the real world, they're called best friends. In Scientology, they are called auditors. Especially the kids. Child auditors are the ones making Scientology all the money. Apparently LAPD, Clearwater PD, FBI, Homeland Security, Child Protective Services, various governmental agencies. They're all fine with that. They don't have a problem with child auditors making all the Scientology money while they're asking grown men and women sexual questions, which is another form of grooming, which we're seeing all over the internet right now, by the way. Auditors are responsible for the biggest source of gains that people claim for Scientology. Auditing, literally listening. It's interrogation. It's interrogation. It's interrogation. Kind of like Charlie Igloo Alpha, kind of like what the FBI uses, kind of like what police units use, interrogation, kind of like that, military. L. Ron Hubbard wrote several volumes on the correct procedures for auditing or listening to people in a therapeutic way. In a therapeutic way, everyone. Auditor is a highly regarded profession in Scientology, especially for the child auditors. Notice the omission of child here. Do you guys notice it? I'm going to make sure I add it in. Scientologists spend years training, like kids, with the goal of becoming a perfect auditor. But reaching perfection has always been difficult for them. It's because they're moving the goalpost. L. Ron Hubbard, with his black magic spells and his mind control techniques, was always moving the goalpost. Everything you have been doing is wrong. Do it over. Like I said. And that instills shame right there. That instills shame and guilt. It's why these Scientologists look the way they look. It's very sad. Longtime Scientologists can't deny Scientology management's habit of canceling out older versions of L. Ron Hubbard's volumes and revising them over and over. No names, of course. They get re-released and resold to members every several years. It's just like the college system. I noticed that years ago. Longtime auditors have had the misfortune of having to pay for and redo their training at their expense each time this happens. Imagine you go to a college to be an engineer and you spend years training at great personal cost, like giving your kids away. Then 10 years later, into your 10th year as an engineer at a company, your college calls you up and says, guess what? We discovered that the materials you paid for and studied on engineering were all wrong. Oh, and your diploma is canceled. Yeah, little Davy loves to do that. But this is great. The new engineering materials are easier to study and will get you better results. That's not a con. All you need to do is repurchase your training and redo it to get your diploma back. But you can't do engineering until you do this. Yes, and they're notorious for taking people's certificates away. That's when people should, just flip the bird and say bye. Soul sucking. Scientology auditors, like children, have put up with this twice already. Why do they put up with this? I'll get to that in a bit. The lower levels, the real slaves here. At the lower levels, there's a lot of auditing that goes on. It can be an adventure. No mention of the masturbation questions. It can be very therapeutic as well. This is what lures most people in and gets them defending Scientology unwittingly. That's a thought stopping. Scientologists at the lower levels of Scientology genuinely see it as a force for good. Well, they don't know anything else. And they have a lot to defend. They know they're gonna lose everything if they leave Scientology. That's why. They are largely in the dark about the harm Scientology is slowly inflicting on them through its core beliefs that they slowly and gradually adopt over a long period of study. More about that here. Beyond harmful adopted beliefs, they even actively defend a corrupt Scientology management, like Rinder and Rathburn and who was the other guy? The one that's flapping his mouth a lot now. I forget what his name is. And its false success, which they believe in, is ultimately more important than any immediate truth in front of them. Like babies in vans. The upper levels, space aliens aside, Scientologists at the lower levels have no idea what is presented at the upper confidential levels of Scientology. They are fed a lie which states that if they are shown upper-level Scientology materials, they risk becoming gravely ill and even dying. Thought stop. Boy, that's a thought stopper. In the lower levels, through auditing, they are fed for years the idea and belief that they are told that they are old many lifetimes, like children, powerful spiritual beings, a thetan, will be a huge potential. They fell into a trap and as a result lost most of their super abilities. Imagine L. Ron Hubbard, the drug addict alcoholic, telling people about superpowers. They develop the idea that they can regain those abilities and gain superpowers when they complete the upper levels of Scientology. The levels where you get your powers back are called the OT levels 1 through 8, where you become an operating thetan. He's doing an amazing job explaining it, though. No Scientologist can prove that they have regained anything super. They all speak of gains related to how they feel and how they have a better attitude or see things differently. They are instructed that what they experience on the OT levels is confidential. So they can't really tell you. They read a story about space aliens and the origins of the inhabitants of Earth. They can only speak ambiguously about their experience. Even if they don't believe in what they have just experienced, they are in too deep. There's too much at stake to stop going along with it. Scientology makes it easy to keep quiet about your upper level experiences because revealing anything on the OT levels is forbidden anyway. The emperor has no clothes. Scientologists at the upper levels are just like anybody else. Allegedly. Only they are under tremendous stress to represent a better image, since they have achieved the goal so many Scientologists aspire to. They hide getting sick, they put on a show, etc. They grit their teeth and smile about anything having to do with Scientology and help promote how wonderful it is, even when it isn't. Like, isn't Rebecca Minkoff doing that right now? She's a Scientology child as well. L. Ron Hubbard set it up this way with doctrine that states a no-gain case is someone without ethics. But not for the pedophiles, you guys. I'm just adding that in myself. Not for the pedophiles. In English, people who don't make any gains from Scientology are bad people doing bad things and need to be dealt with accordingly. This isn't just taught and acted upon at the upper levels. It applies to anyone who's a tough case at any level. So saying Scientology doesn't work for you has some consequences. Yeah, you'll be in the RPF. Like Jesse Prince. Better to say the Emperor's robes are exquisite. If you think I'm joking, here's a really serious internal policy on the subject explaining it. I'm definitely going to be going through some of this stuff. Labels and expulsion. If you stick to your GUNs, that something at any level of Scientology doesn't work. You are likely to be officially labeled by the Church of Scientology as a suppressive person. Such a label comes with the consequences of being disconnected. Come and join us. Being an SP is amazing. If you are labeled a suppressive person, all your Scientology friends and family have to stop talking to you, or else. All Scientologists connected talking to an SP are at serious risk of being automatically labeled an SP too. If you have declared SP on your Facebook friends list, many Scientologists will unfriend you without a word and never speak to you about it or call you. They will avoid you. They're also being coercively controlled. So, I think some people do deserve some grace. Merely associating with an SP in any way can get you labeled as one. L. Ron Hubbard was the biggest SP. Didn't you guys know? Yeah. Merely associating with an SP in any way can get you labeled as one. I was labeled an SP because I built a blog for my mother-in-law, and she used it a year later to publicly leave Scientology by posting an article about her decision. My mother and sisters were each pressured to disconnect from me by being shown an SP declare order. Can we, you guys, can we publicize these SP declare orders? Wouldn't that be great? I think we should create an SP song and dance and make it go viral. That'd be amazing. Shown an SP declare order without my knowledge, containing several lies about me and my character. Sounds kind of hateful, you guys. Doesn't that sound like a hate crime to you? That kind of sounds like a hate crime to me. Families are torn apart by this. By the way, that's the black magic, dividing people like that. If you guys notice, that's what's going on right now. Families are torn apart by this. I would argue, too, some of the families are never together. I'm not trying to shade, I'm just saying. Scientology destroys families this way. But to the hardcore Scientologist, it's the SP's fault. Right. That they need to disconnect. Sound like victim blaming, you guys? Does that sound like victim blaming when the little children that get AR'd by grown men or grown women in Scientology, that they pulled it in and that they're out 2D as a child? Doesn't that sound the same? I'm just saying. Scientology claims they don't enforce it, and Scientologists decide themselves. That's also for liability reasons. But that decision is swayed by the threat and fear of losing your friends and family. That's the blackmail. You got to give it to them. Separating people from their family, that's the ultimate blackmail. Who do you guys think created that one? Almost sounds like a black magic spell, doesn't it? It sounds like a black magic spell. And not all black magicians are bad, by the way. You got to really do some massive research. Worst of all, people who disagree with anything in Scientology risk losing the opportunity to gain their spiritual powers back. I wish they all knew that they never had them. I'm not saying, well, how do I say this? They always had this superpowers. They always had them. Inside, internally. They just didn't know it. Scientology had nothing to do with it. That's the trick. Risk losing the opportunity to gain their spiritual powers back. Scientologists will even tell you Their eternity is at stake. I've heard this before. That must be why they lock up all these elderly people in these little shanty buildings that LAPD and LAFD and all those folks are like, oh, that's not a big deal. Let the old geezer die. Right? Where are their superpowers then? And you guys, that's not my opinion. I'm just saying, it seems to me like that's what they think. They even seriously tell each other when trying to convince each other to disconnect from a news SP. And last but not least, there's deep shame of having turned your back on the only thing that can truly help mankind and the universe. That's not pressure. Fear, obligation, guilt right there. I mean, I'm sorry I'm breaking this up. It's not, this guy wrote a great article, but they terrify people that if they know the higher levels too soon, they're going to get pneumonia and DIE. That's the fear. The obligation is you have to be obligated to Scientology above your children, above your friends, above everything, above everyone, while you're giving them your money, by the way. But what I wanted to say was their eternity is at risk. That is like, that's spiritual blackmail. And last but not least, there's a deep shame of having turned your back on the only thing that can truly help mankind and the universe. How's that working out? Too hard to live with for some, much easier to see those robes. Lies to keep them going. Scientologists hold several annual events around the world, run by Scientology management, in which members new and old are lied to about the successes and expansion of Scientology. They claim explosive expansion in the face of empty churches worldwide. They tell their members and the media that Scientologists number in the million at events. In reality, there are less than 40,000 in the world today, and the number is plummeting. I personally believe it's way less. I believe it's way less. And no shade to anyone, I'm not saying this to be cruel, but the older Scientologists are passing away. And they're not getting new members because the young kids are like, nah, F that. That's a nice little graphic. I wonder where they got this from. Or maybe they created it. I mean, just in the last 2 years since William the Good started the movement, it's probably plummeted 20,000. I mean, I hope. All this is kept secret in an effort to keep parishioners in Scientology in donating large sums of money for the opening of new buildings, which remain empty. Scientologists want to believe the lies which justify that their own actions and bring in huge contributions at fundraisers, which are all too common. And they're keeping their stats up. They are actively encouraged not to look at bad news on the internet or TV for fears of being associated with it. But they will tell you they just don't want that kind of negativity in their space. Thoughts stopping everywhere. Their mind control is so good. I wonder where they learned it from. Their mind control is so good that they mind control themselves. It's actually very tragic. It really is. And I hope one day some of these folks realize we're trying to help. I really do. It makes me want to cry. I know, because that's what I said for nearly a decade before leaving myself. All a Scientologist needs to do is search for Scientology on Google and look for themselves. Most feel that they have too much to lose by doing so they don't. I'm the devil for even talking about this on Quora too. Religious branding. Where have we seen branding before? What's his name? Creepy, stinky little guy that didn't shower. What's his name? Rainier? From Nexium? Must be a coincidence. Religious branding. As I write this, Scientology is recognized as a religion by the IRS in the U.S. That's another interesting thing to think of. But it wasn't always recognized. It actually lost its religious recognition for years and racked up $1 billion tax bill before it pressured the IRS into granting it. You think about that very hard, you guys. Businesses can put pressure on governmental agencies. Think about that, you guys. Come on. By filing a huge amount of lawsuits and then dropping them on the condition its religious recognition was granted. I'm gonna do a little deep dive into this one. It was in 2003 at a huge fanfare in an international The War is Over event. Apparently the war's not over. In which the leader, David Miscavige, the one with no credentials, admitting on stage to the voluminous lawsuits and bragged about the whole victory. Grandstanding. Search for Scientology, The War is Over on Google to learn more and watch the leader of Scientology pat himself on the back publicly. Who else does that remind you guys of? I'm not going to say his name. You guys should know who I'm thinking of. This solidified their religious branding attempt and, except for a small fee to the IRS, absolved them from paying their $1 billion tax bill. Interesting, because I know a lot of people that are just everyday blue-collar folks, and the IRS they're hounding them hard right now. Weird. Now they just hold fundraisers and accept millions in tax-free donations. Tax-free, that they dump into real estate and renovations, which they pawn off to members as new churches, when they are really just recycled old ones. And since they are tax exempt, they get away with paying no property tax on huge empty churches all over the globe. Don't you guys wonder what kind of insurance those churches have? I'm just curious about that. I mean, they have to be up to code, right? Or do they not have to follow the building codes? Do you guys know? Like even the blue building, it doesn't seem like it's up to fire code. Don't they have some of the fire escapes like what do you call it? You guys go look at the blue building. I think those fire escapes are not up to code. But the LAFD were like, oh, well, there's plenty of room for a fire truck to get through. Right. The same firefighters that were probably parading over there with the La Poubelle woman. What's her name? Yeah, there's all kinds of pictures all over the internet on it. So, Scientology is a long con, presented to the uninformed and the ultimate self-help solution at first. Church that's self-help. Kind of like Tony Robbins. But later revealed to have a mission to save the planet and the universe at the members' expense, or else. Take it from someone with over 3 decades of experience. Stay away from it. Make some great friends you can talk to instead, and above all, think for yourself. Don't let any organization do your thinking for you. I think he really wrote this so well. I can be contacted by anyone still in Scientology or out at Cameron, Cameron, at crestws.com. Again, that is for the ones in the back. Oh, I can't make it bigger. Cameron at crestws.com. See, Scientologists, you got another link to someone who can help you. Update. Amir asked a very good question in the comments. You say, at the lower levels, there's a lot of auditing that goes on. It can be an adventure. It can be very therapeutic as well. This part sounds like it's actually a good thing. If Scientology was nothing but this, plus the auditor training, no mention of the kids, without which this part probably cannot exist, would it all be good? The short answer is, Scientology auditing can be an adventure and very therapeutic until it isn't. Hey, therapeutic could be talking to your friend, drinking a beer or having a coffee or tea and getting your feelings out. It doesn't have to be expensive, and you don't have to hold cans for it. When Scientology isn't working and you aren't singing its praises, it turns into a nightmare. See the comments for a full explanation. Update 2. Zaki Hassan stated in the comments, when I first read about Scientology, Xenu, the aliens, the volcanoes, I genuinely thought it was some kind of joke. Satirical comedy about organized religion. Then I realized that they actually believe it. I don't know if people believe this. They're just following along. My summary response, a very small percentage actually believe it. Okay, there we go. Paul Haggis is a good example. You guys know what I think about him. He knew what he was reading was crap, but had nobody who could tell. Stayed in Scientology for several more years before having the courage to leave. See the comments for a full explanation. And then there's a video. So you guys, I'm going to leave a link in the description box. Like and subscribe if you choose. You're going to have to go... Hold on. Okay, I just scrolled up. I didn't want to give you guys a headache. So you'll have to go, when I give you guys a link, because I don't know how to link directly yet, you'll have to scroll down to Cameron Crest. And then the question is, what is Scientology all about? If I can directly link it, I'll do that. But if my direct link doesn't work, you'll have to scroll. Peace.